What's up, guys? We all know Spider-Man can take a punch from the Green Goblin or get slammed through a wall by the Rhino. But if we are being completely honest, the most brutal hits Peter Parker ever takes are straight to the heart. Today, we are cracking open the vault on Spider-Man's complicated love life to see exactly how the movies changed their comic book histories. Let's dive in. Liz Allan. If you go all the way back to Spider-Man's literal first appearance in Amazing Fantasy number 15, Liz is the ultimate popular girl at Midtown High. In the comics, she dates Peter's worst bully, Flash Thompson, and completely brushes off puny Parker. But as they get closer to graduation, she actually develops a massive crush on Peter. Things don't work out though, and she eventually marries his best friend, Harry Osborn. Talk about classic high school drama! But the Marvel Cinematic Universe took Liz's story and delivered one of the greatest, jaw-dropping twists in comic book movie history. In Spider-Man: Homecoming, Liz isn't just a popular cheerleader. She is the fiercely intelligent, driven captain of the academic decathlon team. Peter is completely crushing on her, and against all odds, he actually scores a date with her to the homecoming dance. He knocks on her front door, and who opens it? Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. Liz is his daughter. I remember sitting in the theater, and the entire audience literally gasped. That tense, suffocating car ride to the dance, where Toomes slowly figures out Peter is Spider-Man while Liz is sitting right there in the passenger seat, is easily one of the most stressful scenes Marvel has ever filmed. They took a classic teenage crush and turned it into the ultimate superhero nightmare. Let's rewind the clock and talk about Betty Brant. A lot of fans think Gwen or MJ came first, but in the comic books, Betty was actually Peter's very first mutual crush. Debuting way back in The Amazing Spider-Man number 4, Betty is the hard-working secretary for the constantly screaming J. Jonah Jameson at the Daily Bugle. Peter and Betty bond over their stressful lives and actually date for a while. The major twist? Betty absolutely despises Spider-Man, blaming him for the death of her brother. That massive secret eventually tears them apart. On the big screen, Betty gets two completely different treatments. In the classic Sam Raimi trilogy, played by Elizabeth Banks, she is back at the Daily Bugle desk. We get a ton of fun, subtle office flirting between her and Peter, but she is already married, so it never crosses the line into a full romance. But the MCU totally rebooted her. Played by Angourie Rice, Betty is suddenly Peter's high school classmate and the co-anchor of the Midtown High News. Instead of dating Peter, she actually has a hilarious, short-lived summer fling with his best friend, Ned, during Spider-Man: Far From Home. It is a massive departure from her tragic comic book roots, trading the Daily Bugle drama for some light-hearted teenage comedy. Gwen Stacy. In the comics, Gwen wasn't just a crush. She was Peter's first true love. But her story is easily one of the darkest mysteries Marvel ever printed. In The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 121, the Green Goblin kidnaps Gwen and throws her off the George Washington Bridge. I remember reading this for the first time, and my jaw hit the floor. Peter dives after her, shoots a web, and catches her by the leg. He thinks he saved her, but a tiny sound effect written next to her neck spells out "snap." The sudden stop from the webbing actually broke her neck. It completely changed comic book history. Now, look at how The Amazing Spider-Man 2 handled this. Director Mark Webb gave us a brilliant, gut-wrenching twist. Instead of a bridge, Harry Osborn drops Emma Stone's Gwen down the center of a clock tower. Peter shoots his web, which forms the shape of a hand reaching out for her. But he is just a fraction of a second too late. The web catches her, but her head hits the concrete floor. The movie keeps the tragic spirit of the comic, but updates the physics to make it even more heartbreaking on screen. Next up, the ultimate jackpot, Mary Jane Watson. In the classic comics, specifically The Amazing Spider-Man number 42, MJ explodes onto the scene with the iconic line, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." Classic MJ is a fiery, outgoing supermodel and actress. She acts like a carefree party girl, but that is actually a mask she wears to hide a really dark, abusive childhood. She is deeply complex. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe flipped the script entirely with Zendaya's character, Michelle Jones Watson. MCU MJ isn't a supermodel waiting to be rescued. She is introverted, highly observant, and has a brilliantly dark sense of humor. Instead of Peter hiding his secret from her, MCU MJ is the one who figures out Peter is Spider-Man all on her own in Far From Home. The MCU stripped away the supermodel glamour and gave us a grounded, incredibly smart partner who fights right alongside him. Now, let's talk about a character whose movie adaptation completely ignored her insane comic book history, Cindy Moon, also known as Silk. In the comics, Cindy is a massive deal. In The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Number 1, we get a massive retcon. It turns out the exact same radioactive spider that bit Peter Parker crawled over and bit Cindy Moon right afterward. She was locked in a bunker for years to hide from villains. When Peter finally frees her, things get incredibly intense. Because they share the exact same spider DNA, they have an uncontrollable, pheromone-driven attraction to each other. I remember reading those issues, and they literally cannot stop making out any time they are in the same room. It is chaotic, purely instinctual, and causes massive problems for them both before they finally learn to control it. Now, look at her movie counterpart. Cindy Moon actually exists in the MCU. Played by Tiffany Espenson, she appears in Spider-Man Homecoming and Avengers Infinity War. But if you blink, you will miss her. She is simply a background classmate on Peter's academic decathlon team. No radioactive spider bite, no superhero alter ego, and absolutely zero pheromone-fueled romance with Peter. She is just a normal teenager trying to survive high school. The movies completely sidelined one of the most wild romantic dynamics in Spider-Man history. Finally, we have the ultimate wildcard, Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. She debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man number 194 as a world-class cat burglar. Here is the fascinating psychological twist with Felicia. She is hopelessly in love with Spider-Man, but she has absolutely zero interest in Peter Parker. In the comics, when Peter finally unmasks for her, she actually begs him to put the mask back on. She loves the thrill, the danger, and the superhero mystery. She doesn't want the boring guy struggling to pay rent in Queens. On the big screen, we've been robbed. We got a tiny glimpse of Felicia in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, played by Felicity Jones. She works as an assistant at Oscorp, but we never got to see her suit up, steal diamonds, or mess with Peter's head. She remains the greatest untapped goldmine for future Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man's love life is a total roller coaster, proving that wearing the mask costs Peter Parker almost everything. Who do you think is the ultimate match for Spider-Man? Drop your debate down in the comments. If you love digging into the dark facts and hidden lore behind your favorite heroes, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.